Hello, everyone. Welcome to Deaf Mute Studio. This is the Memo by Deaf podcast. I am joined by Ged Backland, and today we are going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, Ged, my first question for you, has it surpassed Ghostbusters 3, My Super Ex-Girlfriend?
It has, yeah. It has finally. It's tackled that behemoth. It's laid that to rest once and for all. Although I thought Ghostbusters 3 was evolution, and Ghostbusters 4 was My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh,
if you can
hoisted by my own petard.
Yeah, no, but it has surpassed it. You know what? I've never seen Evolution or My Super Ex-Girlfriend, and I think I should, especially being part of the Ghostbusters franchise, as you insist they are. I've really got to catch up with them as well.
To be honest, I've never seen My Super Ex-Girlfriend, but I am, a fan of Evolution. It's I've got a huge soft spot for it. So Ged, like when us being in a film group on WhatsApp, I was very vocal when the trailers came out about it just being, it's going to be a cheap cash-in of memories. Oh, remember how you felt as a kid watching Ghostbusters? Well, this is it, but it's going to cover the same territory as the Star Wars, as the last trilogy, where it's pretty shit and offensive, and they're just bringing in the old characters as a more of a token to wrangle people into seats, and the films didn't really understand the source films or source materials, and that was my major concern with Ghostbusters Afterlife. But after watching it, I've got to say, and we covered this in the last podcast about Ghostbusters, I'm not a big Ghostbusters fan. I enjoy the films. I rate them, but I'm not as emotionally connected to them as, like, say, you are. But watching Ghostbusters Afterlife, I found myself, I'm back in.
Yeah.
I thought it handled it really well in terms of paying respect to the old and passing the torch on to the new. I didn't find anything offensive about it. I don't think it was the perfect film. That it does have its flaws, but going off the history of other films having soft reboots or new films added onto them much later on, I think it's arguably one of the best.
Yeah. As soon, I'm sure we're going to pick it apart in more detail, but as soon as the end credits came up, I had this overwhelming feeling of that's it. I'm ready to die now. I'm okay. I'm good. I've waited for this film for 30 odd years, and I was very, very nervous. I was on about the trailers a lot, and I was a bit unsure. To begin with, I was unsure about the setting. I was unsure about that it's focusing on children. I don't like kids in films. I don't like Short Round. I don't like the cheeky kid thing going on. And I was a bit nervous. For some reason, I got it into my head I didn't like Paul Rudd. And yeah, I just had, just my personality can be quite negative, but yeah, I was very nervous. But as soon as the end credits, it wasn't even as soon as the end credits rolled up, to be perfectly honest. It was as the film was progressing, I was like, you're just handling this extremely well. Yeah, it did. It definitely hugs the past. It hugs those, the first film in particular, really hard. But I was more made up of the new story that they were telling as well. So of course the reason I'm sat here is for references and stuff and whatever. But I also want to see where you're going, because Sony obviously believe in Ghostbusters as a thing that people still want. It's not just a couple of films, Ghost Corps or whatever. It's a whole thing that they're trying to build up. It's something that they can see a future for in a Star Wars way, in a Marvel way, and so this was pretty important. So okay, so you're going to restart it again, we're going to see some old stuff, but it's very important you get the new stuff right. And I think they did. I think it's a Jason Reitman. I've liked the films that Jason Reitman has made.
Yeah.
Thank You for Smoking and Juno. Up in the Air, I watched that on a plane, funny enough, and yeah, I enjoyed that. A lot of talky stuff, but he's made it was a film about family and and your legacy and reconnecting with things, and then there was the Ghostbusters stuff as well, and I just think he got it absolutely spot on. As you say, I don't think it's perfect, and the longer I've had away from it, there's things that are in my mind like, okay, well, I'll probably have to watch it again to see how I feel about that. But I don't think that the overall feeling of it is going away. I thought I'd really, as a fanatic, I'm completely satisfied. As a film lover, generally, really satisfied with it. I'm just really excited to watch it again. I don't know legally how many times I can go watch it again on the big screen, but I'm going to push it. I'm going to push that limit. 5 is my record. Let the right one in. I went to see that 5 times with the pictures.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got a few to go, but I think I'm going to equal it at least. Just IMAX in particular. I went to see it on IMAX, and the sound and it's just amazing. And yeah, I just want to experience it as much as I can on the screen before it's all at home. But yeah,
I think you should do, really, because like we said, it's not perfect, but it's Ghostbusters Afterlife is quite the anomaly. It's not something. Hollywood doesn't do these films well, like track records proven on that, but it's just entrenched in, like you said, family, not only with the characters but Jason Reitman, and it doesn't feel like he's a good filmmaker in his own right. This isn't a case of nepotism where he's the original director's son. He's earned his wings, and he's done a fantastic job, and you can tell by watching it how much it meant to him and everyone involved. Again, it's such a rare thing. I was enamored by it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like when you watch any film, really, you want. Well, I don't know about anybody else. I'm wanting a sense of who made it. I'm expecting making films ourselves and stuff like we have done in the past, making anything creative wise. You putting yourself into it. You should be. There should be an element of yourself in there, and it was clearly a story he wanted to tell. It was clearly he understood the weight of something that his dad had created, and he wanted to honor that as well as telling his own story in that universe. And yeah, I'm surprised he got it so right in a way, because it's like, I can imagine studio pressure is there as well. You've got to include this, you've got to include that. You probably second guess yourself so much. Is this too much of too much referencing? Do I need to put more in it? Does the new story make any sense? And yeah, he just, probably what helped, I was thinking about this, is it was delayed, wasn't it, by at least it was all being filmed and whatever, but like the being released was delayed for over a year. So having that time to just sit and watch it again and go over it again, and there's some parts of it where I'm like, oh, I wish we could have seen more of this and more of that. And again, with the time that I've had since leaving, I'm like, no, he's made the right decision. Like I wanted to initially, I was like, oh, I wanted to see more of the guys in the originals in the suits, and after the phone call that Phoebe made to Ray, I wanted to see him going and gathering up the team for one last job type of thing. But with that space and distance, like, no, that's not what the film is. It's not about getting that team back together. You want to see them, yeah, but we're telling a new story, and he just got all those decisions right. And yeah, it's very impressive. He should be very, very proud of himself. If you're watching, Jason, you should be really proud of yourself.
And credit to that. I mean, when it got to the end and the reveal of the big three, I'd completely forgotten about them, because I was I was well into the story at that point. I wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, where are the guys?"
Yeah. When are they going to show up? Yeah.
Yeah, I was fully invested in these new characters. Now, right? It could be me because I was fully invested in the story, but I did find the three of them turning up at the end a little bit jarring.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Because it was going well. It was going well. I was fully invested, and then with them turning up, and particularly Bill Murray and the banter between the three of them, I was like, oh, Christ, I miss Ghostbusters.
Yeah, right.
I missed the dynamic between the three. I was like, oh, do I want that now? Is that all I want? I just want that.
Yeah. I get it. It's a good point. I mean, I was expecting to show, and he made the right decision. A call's made to Ray, and that sets up that allows him to come in at the end. I appreciate it because the action had built up to that big standoff, and then they came. For me, it felt like they came in at the right time. But yeah, as soon as you say, in particular, Bill Murray started speaking, and the banter, with my looks and your personality, because of being Hollywood's next power couple, you come crawling back to me after all this time. I was laughing my head off. I was crying my eyes out at the same time because it was like this character has continued. We've last seen him in 1989, and he's still alive, and there he is. And he's still going, and yeah, I can see what you mean. It does have the potential to sort of take you like, oh no, yeah, I want more of this, but yeah, no, not seeing them too much was a good thing in hindsight. And it was. I need to go and see it again, mate. I really need to go and see it again. Just talking about it is making me want to go and see it again. All of the, as you say, all of that banter there at the end, the reference, are you gods? And Ray fumbling his lines. He's had almost 40 years to say the right thing, and oh come on, it was really, really good. A lot of people, my initial reaction, apart from, and as I said privately in group message and stuff, I'm a 36-year-old man. I was in floods of tears watching it. Again, spoilers if anybody's watching without seeing it, yet spoiler coming up here. But Egon turning up when he did, and I was like, this was something I was dreading happening before watching it. I was like, please don't try and recreate him with CGI. Please don't do that. Please. But as soon as I seen him and how good the effect looked, yeah, I was just in bits. I was just like, this is perfect. And seeing the four of them in that shot, referencing the original, the four of them in a row. But I was just like, this is all. But I mean, I was thinking people aren't going to like this. People are going to hate this, and I'm find it disrespectful and all the rest of it. But thinking on it, they didn't put words in his mouth. They just used his image, and hopefully Al Ramos would be okay with that. I'm sure he would be. I just thought it was. Now I've seen it, I can't imagine it being any other way. I wouldn't have wanted it to happen any other way.
You see, I thought that was really, really well done, particularly having him not speaking and him being a ghost throughout the film.
Yeah, which was really good touch, wasn't it?
He wasn't so much a ghost, but a guardian angel to his granddaughter, and that just made me smile so much. I was like, this got so much affection put into it. He's not actually dead. He's still watching over everyone. It not only in the film but in life in general. It's a really positive thing to do. It's not like Star Wars with the deep fake of God knows how many characters they've done now, and it's it looks and sounds funny, and it is jarring. They'd seen the mistakes of the past when it comes to bringing an old character back to life, and gone, we can do this a bit classier. That's in keeping with the films. And I was again, I'm not as emotionally connected to it as you are, but I felt the emotion. It was poignant.
It's all there, and your partner again doesn't give Ghostbusters much thought at all. Not her thing. But she was gone. She was crying at the end. There was the moment, as we're talking about the end part, the moment where they turned up, where Ray says flat top, and then it cuts to them standing there. Everybody in the cinema started like whooping and cheering, and that just got me. That finished me off. I thought I was already up to hair and all that, and it's like I've never experienced that, especially in the cinema over here. I mean, I've been to America where they whoop. They whip absolutely everything, trailers and all sorts, but yeah, it's just that emotion that and there were people of all ages in there as well, not just people of my age and a bit older, kids in them, and they were visibly excited to see them, and it just all hit me. It was honestly, it was an emotional 2 hours. It really, really was. I felt myself smiling all the way through it, from the opening sequences all the way through. I was smiling, but alternating between smiling and crying at the simplest things. Seeing the way Egon goes, and that really cool use of the PKE meter, showing that he's still there straight away. To Phoebe putting on the proton pack, the sound design, by the way, throughout the whole thing was fantastic. The sound of the proton pack switching on, the lingering close-ups of everything, the sound of the stream coming out. I was just smiling all the way through it.
I'd forgotten how iconic just the sound was.
Yeah.
It hit me. I was like, fucking hell, it's 1984.
Yeah, it is. It is iconic, and you do all these things that are just, oh yeah, that's Ghostbusters. But as soon as you hear that proton pack coming, the stream coming out, and it's like, it can't be anything else. And yeah, it's just touches like that, because in the hands of anybody else, it's like, oh, well, just, you can imagine them overlooking those sorts of details. The proton pack, oh yeah, we'll make a new one. Don't worry about it. Her being shown how to fix one by a departed granddad, opening it up. It's like, these are all the things that, as a kid, I'd obsess over. The inside and the detail, and it was just incredibly detailed. And nobody else could have made it with as much love and affection as he did, and he chose the right person. Yeah, it was a great 2 hours.
So, in terms of what one thing that I was kind of expecting is that, again, I go back to Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It was essentially beat for beat all three of the original films in one.
Right.
And again, with Afterlife, it was pretty much beat for beat the first Ghostbusters. Obviously, and you've got like Zul coming back and whatnot. And at first, I was like, well, this is just typical. They can't come up with something new to say or new story wise. But it wasn't about that. It was about bidding farewell, mainly to Harold Ramis, from what I saw.
Yeah. It was a love letter to him in a way. It was, it seemed to completely focus on him, and it was really touching.
And I think they handled the passing of the torch like really well. I mean, they didn't, like we said before, they didn't focus too much on the original cast, and they spent time to set up the new cast. And I'm just thinking, what did you think of the cast? I mean, personally, I thought the girl who played Phoebe, McKenna Grace, was perfect.
It all, I was saying to your partner again earlier, it all sort of rested on her because it felt a story of Egon and Spengler's in general, but it's focused on her because she's the scientist, and a lot of weight rested on her really, and if she wasn't good enough, she wasn't up to it. It would have really struggled, but she was absolutely perfect. A really awkward humour. Just the very deadpan delivery of a lot of it. She was absolutely perfect. And what I really liked as well. Now, we discussed it in the last podcast we did, the Ghostbusters one, the reaction to the Ghostbusters 2016 or Answer the Call or whatever you want to call it, and that the outcry of why are you getting women to do it and all the rest of it. We went over that last time. This time, like, it's okay. It's kids, so you're not really thinking of man and woman terms. But again, she's kind of front and center more so than a brother or any of the kids. And it's a young girl can carry a Ghostbusters film, and it just goes to show that there's anybody's a Ghostbuster if you make that. I know, the bloodline and whatever, but a young girl can be front and center in a Ghostbusters film, and it goes to show that it's got a future. It's got a future. It can be anyone. It can be anything. And I'd love to see the continuing story with her and her brother and stuff and podcast. I thought he was fantastic. I don't like kids in films, as I said before. He genuinely made me laugh. The humour was great. But McKenna Grace was, for me, she was the standout of the film. I thought she handled it all very well, especially being so young. Paul Rudd, I don't know why I think I have a problem with him, because I really haven't minded at all. But I don't know. But I thought he was great. He wasn't front and centre like I imagined he was going to be. But he did his job just perfectly well. He just held it together. He was funny. He was a great character. I liked the mum. I liked her story, Carrie Coons. I liked her story. I liked her bitterness and very offhand, comments about the dad and stuff and creating that. Because it was one plot point. I was like, a daughter being. I thought we were going to get, she gets bullied and she gets this and she gets that, but she realizes her grandfather's a Ghostbuster and everything's okay. I was a bit surprised that we didn't see her being bullied per se or having a really hard time of it. But again, with distance, I'm like, well, we don't need to see endless scenes about it. When they're at the diner, she says, you could make a friend out here. Very deadpan. She says, "Oh, make a friend out of what?" But it was just handled really well, and I liked that the mum had been disappointed and let down, and it was like, as we discussed before, it's like it's a family drama with Ghostbusters attached to it. It was just really so well done. But the cast were all great. The one character I thought that was a little underdone. I don't know her name. So Finn Wolfhard's love interest.
Oh,
what was her name?
Let's see, I'll get that up now. Lucy. Oh, Lucky.
Lucky, that's the one. Yeah. I thought she was slightly underdone. Again, you've got everything going on. You've got all these new characters to bring in. You've got old people to, you could probably give us as much as they could, but. Especially if she's going to be a returning character, hopefully she'll be fleshed out a bit more next time. But I'd love to see what happens to these afterwards.
I thought, one of my few gripes with the film is particularly involving Lucky is there was that one scene that kind of sexualized her when they're getting suited up.
Yeah, that was odd, that wasn't it?
And I was like, what's that got to do with it? And why am I seeing a young girl in a bra putting on a thing? You don't see everything, like, thank God, but it's suggestive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, this young lad who's really attracted to him, whatever. It's like, yeah, but yeah, we don't need to see it. We get it. We get that he's interested in it, and we don't need to see it. They get suited up and go and save the world. We don't need to see anybody in a state of undress. We didn't see the originals in a state of undress, so
It kind of reminds me of. I'm not sure if you've seen Star Trek Into Darkness.
I love Star Trek Into Darkness,
but there's a notorious scene that completely takes you out the film, and that's when Dr. Marcus is getting changed.
Oh, right, yeah.
And you just see it in a bra and Nick standing there going, "What are you looking at, Jim?" And you're like, "What's that got to do with anything?"
Yeah. What has that got to do with anything? That's a good point, mate. Yeah. It was an odd scene to include us.
It's just throwing in a sexy woman for a sexy reasons. It's got nothing to do with the plot or character development. It was really cringy in Star Trek Into Darkness. I was just like, and that reminded me of that because again, I thought it was just there's no need for it.
You didn't, you get it. You liked it, and that's all you need to know, really. One, if we're on the subject of gripes, I'm very nitpicky. We're going to get that, if you don't mind. I want to mention the bigger gripes other people have. But one of my, and it's a really small one, but this is where the fanatic comes in. When the mum is possessed and goes to the mountain to mate with the keymaster or whatever, and she turns, the dress. She thingies into the dress. The dress isn't orange. The dress in this one is a bit gold. I was like, no, that's not the dress though, is it? If we're doing the dress, let's have it orange. I'm not playing one of those color games. What color is this dress? Orange or gold? It's supposed to be orange.
Well, I thought that scene itself was a bit odd because it seemed like they were just playing it just for laughs, but it didn't seem like a laugh scene. I don't think it was a laugh scene in the original, but because you got Paul Rudd trying to do his best Rick Moranis impression.
Yeah, he was, wasn't
he? Which in isolation is funny, but in terms of the film, I was just like, is that the right time to do this?
Yeah, them talking to each other like in a human way, like I like your eyes and stuff. It's like, no, in the originals, it's just very much, are you the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and that's it. But playing it for laughs and it was slightly odd. But yeah, so that scene needs sorting out, and the colour of the dress needs to be touched up for the DVD release. So in terms of, so I didn't read any review. I'm in groups on Facebook and Twitter, and I just blocked everything. I was like, I can't read or listen to anything until I've seen it. Now I've started to read reviews and all the rest of it. It's not doing very well, I'd say, critically overall.
Oh,
not from the big names anyway. The likes
like The Guardian.
Yeah, there's Mark Commode ripped in, properly took it apart.
Wow,
properly took it apart. To the point where I've sort of turned against him, and things are going to get personal between me and Mark if he's not careful, because I mean, it's his opinion, but you don't have to take your opinions from a 50-year-old man who's got a quiff. So, yeah, you don't. You don't. You can say, everybody's got an opinion, and Simon Mayo as well, who does the show with. Yeah, you can get lost as well. They poured scorn on it, and it's just like, no, you just there's a bit of there's something else going on here. There's something not too. It got, I don't know. I thought it got a bit too personal, but yeah. So Malcolm can bug it off, and Simon Mayo with his face like a confused naan bread can do one as well. But they tore apart, and the reason I wanted to mention the reviews is like, so a lot of where the negativity I'm finding coming from is people like, you're just referencing just referencing the first film. It's just a nostalgia thing. It's like, okay, I get it. We are living in an age where nostalgia is what sells. We're all reliving our childhood fantasies of being superheroes or Ghostbusters or we're just reliving all that type of stuff, and again, it gets tiring, and you want to see new things.
Yeah.
But how, in a direct sequel to two films that were out 30 years ago, how are you not going to? It's two films, by the way, especially the first one, that are so well loved and so admired and stuff. How are you not? How are you going to just make it a new story without any of that? I don't get what you're expecting otherwise to come into that film to say, oh, what, just a complete. So the story of two kids on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and they just start catching ghosts, and there's none of. I just don't get that criticism as much. Again, not everybody's emotionally invested in it as a lot of as I am and other people, but I don't know what you're expecting.
Well, I think with something like this, if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. You're damned if you reference it a lot, and if you don't reference it at all, you're deemed disrespectful. Well, you get. I know Ghostbusters 2016 did do a lot of referencing, but it wasn't. It was almost. I don't want to say mean-spirited, but it was dealing with its own issues of gender politics, really, more than anything. But like you say, you can't make a film from the originals and not reference it. And I do get the criticism that the references are heavy, and I thought a lot of them were. Well, I thought some of them were a bit too much. The Stay Puft Marshmallows, I don't think they had any right to be in it. They were pure reference. That was just, they didn't need it. Yeah. There was a few others in there that I just thought, well, that's a bit shoehorned in. Mm-hmm. But on the whole, you've got a reference.
Making a Ghostbusters film, it's not. It is, as I say, as we keep on saying, it's a direct sequel. There's. We're just not going to mention it or leave these iconic things out. I don't like that. I still don't like the mini Stay Puffs. I thought I got really scared when I saw them in the trailer. I thought, oh God, oh no. But to me, it feels like maybe a bit of studio pressure. You know what's really good at the minute, Jason? Minions. You know what's really good at the minute? Baby Yoda. All this sort of cutesy, very sellable sort of merchandisey thing. Get them on everything. Get a scene. I didn't like them. When I watched it in the wider context of the film, I was like, okay, it doesn't seem that much out of place, but still didn't really like them. They did manage to leave the things like Slimer.
Yeah,
completely. I know Muncher is pretty much a Slimer 2.0. But Slimer's not in there. Hardly any mention of Ghostbusters 2 itself. They managed to leave things out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you make a direct sequel to that film without referencing stuff. There were some really heavy-handed things in it. A film lover like yourself will, you get onto the obvious references, the beginning with the dog through the chair and all the rest of it. There was like levels to the references, really. There's obviously the really noticeable stuff, the imagery, Stay Puft stuff, and then there's shots like I want to just mention. And then there were things in there that, you've really got to be proper on it to pick up the reference. When Phoebe looks in her granddad's suit and pulls out a piece of paper and a Crunch Bar wrapper.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray in that in the first one, you earned it. There were references all the way down there that some people are going to miss. But I thought, I get the film's not going to be for everybody, and fanatics will like it more than your average watcher. But yeah, having a go at. Maybe it's taking the brunt for like a nostalgia fatigue people have got. Maybe people are just like, I'm sick of seeing the same thing. Oh, give us something new. But I thought, well, that's what it's trying to do. It's okay. Is the 1 foot there, and then we're putting our front foot forward, and this is the new people. And if you made a sequel to this, and it's got the originals in it, and it's in New York City, and it's all Marshmallow Man's back and stuff. Then you're like, okay, well, what do you do? Time to move on. But setting it where it was set, nothing like a city at all, which all 3 Ghostbusters films prior to it have been. If it was more Spielbergian. It was kids. It was kids saving the day. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want.
No, it's like you said. It's got to have its feet in both worlds, hasn't it? It's in order to please, and of course, it's not going to please everyone. And like you said, I think nostalgia fatigue is a thing, just because it's been shoveled down our throats for past 10, 15 years. And particularly people who watch a lot of films are going to tire to it more easily. Thus, Mark Mode's ripping it to pieces. But I honestly thought it balanced it really well.
It did, yeah. It really did. And one other thing about it, and we've already mentioned the end scene there, but it just, and I think I saw an interview with Dan Aykroyd, and he mentioned this was the right time to do it. And I didn't really understand what he meant. And then I suppose in terms of since Harold Ramis died, it's like, okay, well, a future Ghostbusters film, we would have to be referenced in some way. But with the technology being as good as it is now, we can create a digital older version of, we don't even have to, take his image from the first film and or get somebody a really good lookalike or whatever to be able to digitally recreate him and age him enough. It being the right time, it's like, yeah, now is the right time to tell that story. Running the risk that all really are getting on, as you can see in the film, they are all getting on, and we haven't got any gap.
Although Ernie Hudson looks amazing.
Oh, Ernie he's looked after himself, hasn't he? Ernie, he looks better now than he did in the first film.
He looks incredible.
He looks incredible. That scene. Did you stay for the post-credits stuff?
I didn't. I got out of there as quick as I could because unfortunately I didn't have a good experience viewing it. I was in a theatre with people talking behind me all the way through, and I had a massive headache, and I was genuinely fuming, so I had to just get out of there quick.
Oh, that's unfortunate, mate. Do you know much about the post-credits?
I believe they go back to New York. That's what I've heard. You see them driving.
Yeah, so I think in the film you see the shot of the car over the Manhattan Bridge, and then the title will come up. There's a very unfortunate. It feels really shoehorned in. There's the first post-credit scene is Sigourney Weaver. I was
going to ask you about that actually, because she's credited on IMDb. I was like, I don't remember Sigourney Weaver being in it.
Yeah, just a post-credits thing, and it feels more like I don't know, a DVD extra than what actually being part of the film. But it's just them over the table, and she's doing the psychic test from the first film where Bill Murray's shot in the studio, and she's holding the cards up, and he's guessing them all right. And the joke is that he's marked the cards. But after that, the bigger and more important post-credits thing is Janine talking to Winston in his big high-rise building that he did really well in finance and whatever, and he's just talking about his legacy and what how Ghostbusters made him what he was and whatnot, and then it cuts to the firehouse, the original firehouse, like the interiors which were shot in LA, the interiors, and he's bought it. And he opens the door and the car comes in and it's all brand new and sparkling. And yeah, I got really, really excited at that point. But it's I mean, he set it up. I don't think Jason Reitman will be involved going forward. I don't think it's his bag. I think he's told the story he wants to tell, but he set it up for, you go and do what you want with it. I just hope, I'm already, the worry's already set back in, to do something right with it. But if they don't, if that's it, if all we churn out now is subpar and whatever, I've got the film that I've waited for 30 years for.
Well, yeah, you've got the completed trilogy.
Yeah, it's done, it's finished, and it's amazing.
Yeah, one of the things that I felt was a bit lacking was the horror element. Now I know Ghostbusters isn't a horror film, but it did have very, very scary moments from the library. I thought Dana's apartment was terrifying as a kid. The couch. I know we did get a nice reference to that at the beginning, but again, I thought it kind of left the horror elements on the floor, maybe because it was already juggling with a lot.
Yeah. Well, I went to see it with my nephew, and he found it scary. There was the jumpier bits in it. He did find scary. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we've got to be kids to, I found Ghostbusters really scary when I was a kid, and not just the bit that was supposed to be scary. I was scared of a lot of it. But yeah, he found it scary, so maybe it is just as being adults now. But yeah, there was noticeably, there wasn't a lot of ghosts. There wasn't a lot of the ghost type thing. They tried to fit in a few just before the end as they've all escaped. But there wasn't a lot of ghosts. But again, yeah, I think because he's focusing on the family element of the stuff, you can't throw everything in.
So yeah, that's probably the case. So what did you think of the Return of Zul?
Yeah, you know what? From the very first trailer, and it's the Shandor Mining Company, I was like, okay, so this is going to completely reference all of that. I just thought it slotted in really, really. It's a nice little pattern for that first film, because in the first one, you Gozer and Zul and all that. But that's as much as you get. I think you get the scene in the prison where Ray's like, the structural design to this building is very, very strange, and then Egon starts talking about Ivo Shandor and stuff, and that's about as much as you get. You get a couple of minutes of where all this is coming from, but then to pad that out with, he was mining the metal to build this high rise and that, and just the way they brought that back in, made the mythology, the whole mythology of it, because you don't really get to know what Gozer is really from the first one. You understand it's some sort of evil spirit, but getting a bit of that backstory, okay, it's like a god of an underworld, and just really padding that out. The terror, the dogs not just being dogs or whatnot, the proper they're proper entities that they fleshed all that out really well. And the fact that it was something that was always happening, it was always happening throughout history in 1984, and then this year. I just thought all that was really, really good. I think some people will be a bit about it being the main villain, the big main villain, the threat of the whole film. But
I mean, I was at first, and then it was it all just made sense. I was happy to go along with the ride.
Yeah. It's all padded out, and I mean, I didn't expect to see. I mean, just the actress who played Gozer in the first film, she'd be really getting on herself, and I thought, well, they're not going to get an older lady back in to do backflips or move like she does. So I really didn't expect to see an incarnation of her. And when she crawled out, I got really, really excited. I was like, oh, wow. They got the voice spot on. I don't know who did the voice, but it sounded exactly the same.
Oh, the woman who did the voice is, she's in she's in The Expanse, a TV show that I really like. I'm gonna butcher her name. Shora Agadajalushu, but she's well known for her voice.
Voice work. Yeah.
She's got a great voice, to be fair. She sounds like what Axl Rose would sound like if he was a woman.
That's an interesting band concept.
But yeah, she got it. I thought she got the voice spot on. I wasn't.
Spot on. Yeah. It sounded exactly like the original one did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Gozer, Zul being back, I really enjoyed it. And as I say, getting it all, getting a bit more information on what it was about and who they are and all the rest of it. Yeah, it made sense. Bringing in a new villain for this one alone, it just feels like you wouldn't have that, the original Ghostbusters turning up. It just wouldn't have felt as, and it made this, Egon's story, it all just made sense. The minute that you're thinking, okay, this is a film about Egon Spengler's legacy, the minute that you having to separate him and send him out in the middle of nowhere, what would be big enough a reason for that to happen? And yeah, introducing a new thing for that just would have felt a bit
impersonal,
hard.
Yeah,
impersonal. Yeah, it's like,
and it would have taken a time to set up. Whereas with Gozer, it's there, and like you said before, you're able to flesh out the lore of it, and I thought finding out about the steel company was great. I was just like, oh, I like that. Yeah. And him owning the town, and then you find him, he's a true follower, and I thought it was a bit naff. He's kept himself kind of pure in this Lennon coffin.
Yeah, Lennonized himself. Yeah. It's never going to end well, is it? Waiting for an ancient god of the underworld to come back. She's not going to be happy to see you, is she? She's going to break her apart straight away. What a waste of time. But yeah, no, it was good. The whole temple aspect of it as well. Like, who builds a temple at the top of a building in New York? So I think he was building one here too. And I just liked, as soon as podcast mentioned that, we used to mine the rocks from here, and then you'd extract the selenium and use it to make girders, and the fanatic was right on that. I was like, okay, right, so this is what happened here. And yeah, it was just really exciting. It was good stuff. Yeah, I'm all for the return of Gozer, and I like the effect that they did. Obviously she returns in the form that we know, but after the botched attempt at trapping her, and she follows them to the farm, and she's coming through the corner, and it's like that skeletal sort of look. That it was a bit more horror. It was good. It was very good, very well done. I thought the dogs looked great as well. I was a bit worried after one of the trailers when it bursts out at the Walmart after Paul Rudd. I thought, it looks a bit ropey. But I think in the close-up shots and the static shots, they've actually used animatronics again, from what I could tell.
That's what I really liked, and I was hoping for more of that. But because I wasn't too impressed with the CGI on them. But then again, I was really looking to see if the CGI was up to scratch. So it doesn't really count, but yeah, I was chuffed to see them use animatronics when they're in the Walmart. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see. Yeah. No, it was overall, mate. It was such a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again. I really can't. And again, and again, and again,
and again, and again, and again, and again. But yeah, to be honest, I've been giving it a lot of stick in our group chat for quite some time, posting 1-star reviews, going, I don't know. It's not good. The trailers are shit. But I'm relieved to be wrong about it. I enjoyed it. Again, it's not perfect. It's got its flaws, but all in all, its heart was in the right place, and it really shines through.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heart, and yeah, there is imperfections, but I can deal with it all. I've started reading a few more reviews with Jason writing itself, and I want, from a fan point of view, something that's been leveled at him is, so is Ghostbusters 2 not even canon then, because it's not really mentioned and stuff. And he said, he mentioned, let me very quick, because I just made sure I saved it, because he did make a point. So I mean, it is canon anyway, because it's the same people, but the fact that Ray's a cult bookshop, that's only a Ghostbusters 2 thing in itself. But yeah, Jason says Ghostbusters 2 is definitely canon. There are references to Ghostbusters 2 all the way through Afterlife. We meet Ray working at Ray's occult. The toaster from Ghostbusters 2 that dances, that's in the kitchen in the farmhouse. Apparently, you see that. Oh, I didn't notice it, so I'll be looking for that. He says there's loads of Ghostbusters 2 details in there, but nobody really gets them apart, outside of Vigo and the Ghostbusters 2 logo. But just watch closely next time you watch the film, and I'll let other people do the work. I'll let the people who have the time to look for it. But yeah, it'll be all the way through there. I would have preferred, I don't know, just a little mention or two more. Paul Rudd's character does say, New York in the 80s, like The Walking Dead. He doesn't say New York in 1984 was like The Walking Dead. He says the 80s as a death. So you're like, okay. But yet the fact that an ancient painting comes to life and the Statue of Liberty walked through New York is not mentioned at all was a little, I don't know, a very, very minor thing, whatever. And I did, I was really worried that, because I was like, so in this universe, people don't believe in ghosts or why? Because all this happens in New York, everybody would know. And watching the film and very cleverly setting it where they set it, out in the middle of nowhere. And I just started thinking, well, let's take World War II, for instance. We know it happened because we were taught about it. You're not really, unless you're a history fanatic and you watch films about it, you read about it, you don't really know the details in and out, and it doesn't really play in your mind as much. If people say, "Oh yeah, the time a Marshmallow Man came and destroyed New York," if it had been 40 years later and you hadn't seen it, and you'd be like, oh, so what? And I don't know. It just didn't feel like the biggest problem, especially because of where it was set. It's like, New Yorkers aren't walking around with the memory of it. We're set out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of America, and yeah, some ghosts attacked New York like 40 years ago, and what, nobody specifically said, we don't believe in ghosts, nobody, that wasn't approached. It was just like, it wasn't, and it was well done.
I like the line of, I think it's Phoebe that says it, where she was like, I wasn't even born 20 years ago or whatever. So it's, I was on board with that. I was like, well, that's I'll take that explanation, because like you said, with the World War II thing, it's for us, it was 2 generations ago. But for kids now, it's 6 generations ago. So
so there's no real about, no emotional attachment. It's not the forefront of your mind. And I just don't, kids wouldn't, would they even, in this universe that we're seeing, would they even be taught at school that a Marshmallow Man attacked New York? It's like, it's not really that important, is it? But the ghosts hadn't been seen in this universe for 30 odd years since the last Ghostbusters film. People very quickly forget things. Not just individuals, groups of people easily and quickly forget major things that happen, terrorist attacks and stuff, within a generation or so. It's okay, yeah, I know it happened, but I don't think about it. It's not really. So yeah, I kind of accepted that and got on board with it. I thought it was okay, good enough.
Yeah, it appeased me. So, what are your predictions for the next Ghostbusters film? Do you think they'll carry on the referencing of the past and bring back Vigo?
No, I don't. I think Ghostbusters 2, again, something that we mentioned in the last one, is Ghostbusters 2 doesn't seem to be as well liked, not even by quite a few Ghostbusters fans, and I don't think bringing him back would be exciting enough to a filmmaker making it, or the studio, because again, it's all about numbers to them, and it didn't do as well as the original. And I mean, as a fan, I wouldn't mind them popping up or being mentioned or whatnot, but I just don't see them. I think the next one they're going to have to change it up, shake it up. I don't see the need for another one. I know I'm not Sony, and Sony have bought this and are trying to build a franchise, and they will make as much as they can out of it. They will squeeze as much as they can out of it. I don't see where you go from here. I do think they set it up. But are kids going to be Ghostbusters in the future at that age? Is it going to be back to the original ones? I don't really. It's one thing that I suppose Afterlife is. It's a perfect end to all of what we have had. Done its best to try and set up a new generation, a new sort of. But I don't. I wouldn't like to be the writer sitting down and writing the next one.
It'd be a real tough one, especially going back to New York, like it's hinted at. But I just want to bring up the tagline for the Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it's discover the past, save the future. So not only does that work as a tagline to the story itself, but it works well for the actual franchise.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see it. Like you said, it's going to be a cinematic universe, because it's on trends. A lot of people have tried to do it and continuing to do it. Everyone wants their own cinematic universe to milk the money cow for. If this film does well, which I think it is doing well, box office wise, there's going to be more. But yeah, I agree. I don't see where they can take it. That kids as Ghostbusters, like you said, it's like in New York.
They can't work as Ghostbusters, can they? And then we've seen the originals. The originals are back. Maybe I personally can't see Bill Murray agreeing to do anything else to do with Ghostbusters. I think he's come back for this one off because of the people involved, because of Harold Ramis, and I think that'll be Ghostbusters closed for him. So, regardless of any Ghostbusters film that does happen, I can't see him being involved. I wouldn't say the same for Dan Aykroyd. I wouldn't say the same for Ernie Hudson, especially the teaser for Ernie. Maybe it's him and him alone. That's like a mentor or a financial backer or whatever it is. But I wouldn't know where the kids fit in either. As I say, the writer of it has got a very big job on their hands. Best of luck to them. If they do make one, of course, I hope it's good. But I'm just relieved, mate, as I keep on saying, they delivered the film that I've waited for so long, and that's finished and that's closed, and you can go and do whatever you want with it now, to a degree.
That's what I think they should do, really. Cut the umbilical cords. We've had the emotional goodbye of Afterlife, and time to go do something different, advance it if you can, and move on.
Just scrap it. Just scrap anything to do with the old stuff. Go out and somewhere else completely different story. Just go and start afresh. We've had the story that we wanted, and it's all been tied up quite nicely. And there's not much more to say. You know, if you want to expand the universe, make animated TV series and all the rest of it, go and do what you want. But yeah,
bring back the real Ghostbusters.
Bring that back, yeah. Cartoons are big again, so I'd watch it.
I'd watch it, yeah. I'll be up for that. I'll be up for anything. I'm back on the Ghostbusters bandwagon, Jed. It's
yeah.
I'm going to buy all the merch and say, have you got this yet?
The merch, right? So I was digging through me boxes that I've got, and I found me old VHS tape, and I got just a couple of things. So this fella here, you see,
oh shit.
Okay, he's from 2005. Now I forget who got me this. I took it out of its box not long ago when we were moving to fit it in boxes. So I just thought, yeah, so, you know, there'll be loads of them going about. So I'm part of a couple of groups on Facebook, and one of them's Ghostbusters Marketplace. One of these is just sold for 200 quid.
Oh, in the box?
In the box. Okay. So I was like, oh. However, I thought, well, this is quite unusual. I don't see these around. Also, this is from 1984. A Japanese Marshmallow Man figure. Dead small.
Like that box.
That's like that. The box is a bit scuffed and whatever. And I thought, oh. So I posted that in the group and was like, you know, just been digging through my boxes, you know, found this. Has anybody else got one of these? And somebody responded to me and said, one has just gone on eBay, just sold now for £400. I was like, oh. Okay, so I feel like I'm sitting on the gold mine with all the stuff I've got, and I've got a lot. So yeah, I might have to join you on the grabbing all the stuff that I can now, because it's quite valuable. It's kind of like Star Wars Light in a way. There's a lot of people there who would pay a lot of money for the stuff that you've got. So yeah, if you do find anything, grab it.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm looking to see if I can find any independent posters for it. Like, you know, like on Etsy or anything like that, because I think we'll get quite a few nifty designs. I know I've already got. I think you've got it as well. The art book with Gibbs art in.
Brilliant, yeah.
It's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
I still need to get that print off Gib.
I did mention it to Geb, and I've kept a message for
evidence when you take him to court.
Yeah, because he has promised me. He said, you know, due to the rights and whatever, for now I can't. But as soon as something was happening and he was getting one made, I was like, yeah, top of the list. So yeah, Gib, where's our artwork?
Yeah, Gib, with your ass. Gib, is it? You always get to shout out on these. I've noticed this. Oh, well, Jed, we'll wrap it up there, mate, because I think we've covered it. I think on the whole, we're very much singing from the same hymn sheet. It's quite a relief that knowing that I'm not mad.
No, you're not mad. You're not mad. One last thing I'll say is, do you think we'll ever have a CGI reincarnation of ourselves done, as well as Harold Ramis's that is? Do you reckon the quality of the CGI will be as good? It'll be PlayStation 1 sort of graphics.
The only way someone would recreate me in a CGI form is through the court system for reenactments.
I'll pay to see it.
He stole this much chocolate from my shop in 1998. You can see it in his back pocket. Look at him waddle all the way out with that shit-eating grin on his face, as if he's just won the World Cup.
Fantastic. Aye. Yeah, been a pleasure, mate. Great to speak to you about it.
Yes, mate. I'm. To be honest, when me and Matty went to see it, and the first thing we really spoke about is what you'd think about it, and I think it's safe to say we were both relieved that you were happy with the end product, because we know how much Ghostbusters means to you, especially growing up with you in college, and the usual talk of, oh, what's your favorite film? And you'd say Ghostbusters, and people would laugh, and you'd sit there thinking, why is that so funny? It's a great film.
Why is it so funny? You're not laughing now. Nobody's laughing.
But yeah, I'm chuffed that the for me they got it right. You're happy with it, and yeah, I'd honestly like Jason Reitman to continue with it, but because he gets it, he understands it, and he seems to have enough power with it to not be interfered too much with the studio.
You know, his name, you know, first off, his dad's name will have helped him land the gig to begin with, and not the fact that he can clearly make a film by himself. But yeah, you know, if he wanted to continue, I think they'd let him, or even try and persuade him to. But I don't think he will. I think that's him. But thank you very much for him delivering what he did. Can't express just how relieved. It was a relief. 30 years that was building up that pressure. 30 years of pressure, and it's gone, and it feels good.
One last one before we go. Now, in the last one, you said you're quite warmed to Ghostbusters 2016. Mm-hmm. How does this compare, and has your opinion changed after Afterlife?
No, it hasn't. My opinion hasn't changed. I like, you know, I like that film for what it is. It hasn't changed. Afterlife is immediately, you know, the film that I wanted and prefer. In future, when I say, oh, I fancy watching a Ghostbusters film, Afterlife would become would be before 2016 always. And certainly for the next few years will probably be before the other two as well, because, you know, it'll be something a bit newer. But yeah, it's the film that I wanted, but it doesn't change 2016. That's sort of an idea of what you can, you know, go off and do your own thing then with it. For anybody who's going to make a Ghostbusters film in the future, don't go and make a sequel to that. Go and do what you want. But the original story's been wrapped up nice, and yeah, no, I haven't changed my opinion on anything. Okay.
Right then, Jets, I'll leave it there. I think the next podcast we should do is, I think you need to watch Ghostbusters 3 Evolution, and then we can podcast on that, because I would love to get your thoughts on that exceptional piece of cinema.
Let's do it. I'm gonna get Ghostbusters Evolution done. Probably be on Amazon Prime on it, so I'll get it done, and I'll come back for a special Ghostbusters 3 Evolution episode. No problem.
Excellent. And then we can both sit down and watch Ghostbusters for my super ex-girlfriend
together. Yeah, a live watch. That'd be good.
It's a done deal. We're doing it.
It's happening. Great.
I'm actually dreading it now. Anyway, thanks very much, Jed, and speak to you soon. Thanks for anyone who's watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below on if you liked Afterlife, if you didn't like Afterlife, what were your gripes with it, what did you love with it? Just let us know. Right, Theo. Adios.
And goodbye.